come here. Take a look at these ribs. Beautiful color, perfectly cooked, nice bone pullback, sweet, saucy, wood-fired flavor, and I did them in my oven. Let me show you how I made them. What's up, barbecue fans? Welcome to my kitchen. It is pouring outside, but I want some ribs. I'm sure most of you watching have had a moment over the winter or where it's just bad weather, you wanted some ribs. So today I'm gonna show you how to make some amazing ribs in the oven. They're even gonna be smoky, and it won't be that fake liquid smoke stuff. It's gonna be legit smoke. Before we can get into that, let's look at these guys. These are some D'Artagnan Foods Berkshire pork. So Berkshire pork is some delicious pork. It is high quality pork. It's got a lot more marbling and a nicer color and a nicer flavor as well. So we're gonna prep these guys up. I've got 3 racks here. And these are St. Louis cut. Get rid of this guy. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pat these guys dry. So we've got here 3 good looking racks. First thing I noticed right away is we've got this very, very thin piece near the end. So we're just gonna trim these guys up a little bit. Same with this one's quite thin. Find this one bone here. Now there's nothing wrong with these pieces of meat. They're just gonna cook way faster than the rest. So I'm gonna put them off to the side. Now the great thing is because we're doing these in the oven, we don't have to worry about hot air burning the corners and rounding all these off. They'll be fine. We are still gonna treat these like traditional ribs, and we'll take off just this little bit of fat and meat here along the edge. And there's a little chunk here we'll take off, and actually we'll take that fat right off as well. Now the one thing we're gonna do here is normally for St. Louis style ribs, I don't take off the membrane, but because we're doing this in an oven and we're not gonna have all the airflow helping to crisp up and dry out the skin, we are gonna remove it. Super easy to do so. We will go right in the middle. We'll go underneath the bone here. Actually, this is probably gonna be easy enough to get off. If it's too slippery, what you can do is you can get a piece of paper towel and actually grab it with the paper towel, but this membrane's pretty thick, so it's gonna come off relatively easily. And we're using a butter knife so we don't puncture it, just makes it a little easier. Go right across that bone. Here we go. Put that aside. We definitely are not keeping that. Now what we'll do is we'll just take our knife here. You can see there's little pockets of fat. I'm not going to add any value there. That one's good. Take this little tiny piece off there. And this one looks pretty good. Now that we've got our ribs set up, let's get them seasoned up. Today I'm using Grill Mates Slow Low Memphis Pit Barbecue. I've been using this for many years, you guys. If you've been around for a while, you've seen it before. It is my go-to rub for pork, well, ribs at least, and we'll put a heavy coating of this. No binder needed. I have not used binders in years. I don't know why people still use them. These are gonna be moist enough, be able to get a nice coating on them. Actually, I'm gonna take this end bone out right here. You can see this here. This is just a sliver of a bone, right? No one wants to eat that, so we're just gonna take that bone out. It's very sharp, so we'll just take that out because there's no meat on that. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the seasoning soak in here for about 15 minutes. You're gonna see it turn nice and red. The salt's gonna draw out that moisture, and it's gonna tack up all this rub on top. For these guys, I'm just gonna use some salt and pepper. Maybe this guy, I'll pick up some board waste. All right, for the other ones, I'm just gonna use some salt and pepper on them, but we'll let these guys tack up for about 15 minutes here, and then we'll get ready to put them in the oven. And after 15 minutes, check out how red these guys are. The rub has just soaked in. It's a beautiful color of red. One of the things I like about this rub is not only the flavor, but it adds a really nice color to it. So what we're gonna do here, I've got a couple trays here. They're lined with the foil. We're gonna put these guys in. So let me move this forward like so. And what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna place these right on our tray here, push your meat together like you normally would. Let me see if I can get all three of these actually in one. It just might work. Yeah, look at that. So as you can see, these are sitting on a cookie sheet. We've got aluminum foil here just to help keep them clean. My oven's been preheating for about 30 minutes. We're gonna cook these at 275. They're gonna take between 2.5 hours. For the first stage, I'll bring you back once they're done. So I did promise you guys some real smoke in these ribs. What we're gonna do now, we're at about an hour and 45 minutes. We're getting ready for our first check-in on the first phase of the ribs, but I wanna get some smoke into our barbecue sauce. We're gonna use this guy. This is my Breville smoking gun. I've had this thing for years. It works super easily. You can buy chips on Amazon. I'll put some links down below, but you want these little fine chips here. And there's basically a little container there with a mesh bottom on it. And this is battery powered. So as we turn this on, it's got a fan and it's sucking in air through our wood chips. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to fill our little mini hopper here, for lack of a better term. Some of you may call it a bowl, but that is not what this is used for. And you can get any kinds of wood chips you want. So we've got some hickory in there today. And what we're gonna do is I've got my favorite barbecue sauce. I get this stuff out of Canada. We are not gonna use it all, but I'm gonna smoke the whole thing because I can always put it back in the bottle and in the fridge once it's smoked. I'll use it for something else. Now what we're gonna do is we'll get some plastic wrap here. All right. And I'm just gonna open that up a little bit. What we'll do here is we'll put this in like so, and we'll turn that on high. You can see very quickly, if we get some smoke rolling. Oh, hang on a second here, we got smoke going all over the place. Put this underneath the fan just to get rid of the smoke. Now you can see we're full of smoke. So what's happening here is this is full of smoke. This is gonna dissipate over the next 15 or 20 minutes. And then what we'll do is we will stir it in. I'm gonna leave this covered until we're gonna use it. We'll trap as much smoke in there as possible. If you wanted it super smoky, you could give it another run. I don't think we're gonna need to for the sauce. I think this will be more than enough smoke for it, but it does give you a hint what we're gonna do to our ribs as well. We're just shy of the 2-hour mark, so I wanted to check, see where we're at here. First thing I'm doing here, we're not even worrying about temperature. We're just looking for tenderness. We've got a little bit of give here, so we're not there yet. That one starts to feel a little bit better. Now what I did do is I rotated these around about an hour in, just because we've got 3 racks here. These guys have got a little bit more meat on them. Every rib is different, right? Every rack is different. But to give you an idea here, you can see where we're at. 182, 182. This one here is actually pretty close to being done, actually. It's 201, 200, somewhere in there. Hasn't got as much meat on it. There's 198. It's got a little bit of give still, so we've got some time on that, but this one's really, really close. This end is done, but these have got a little bit more time. So you're really feeling for almost no give, like a peanut butter, right? You don't have to use a thermometer, you can use a toothpick, but it's all about the give. Go right between the bones, and if you can feel any tension on there, you know they're not quite done. These are gonna go in probably for, this guy, probably only another 10 minutes. But these guys will be 15 or 20, I think. But you never know. We'll pull them out in 10 minutes and have another look. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to make them so they're at the point where they're done, they're ready to eat. However, once they get to that stage, we've got a few more steps. We've got to get some sauce, we've got to get some smoke into them, and we're going to crisp them up a little bit. But I want to get them to that done stage first. So we'll give them about another 10, 15 minutes tops. It's been exactly 10 minutes, and as I expected, this one rack is done, nice and tender, and it's come up to 200 degrees throughout the whole thing. All right, another way you can tell is if I pick this up, Look at our ends here, right? If there was a rack there, we'd still be touching. So that's a great way to tell. And if you go like this, you can make them tear. But if you can pick them up like that and the ends still touch, they're in great shape. What we're gonna do here is, my other ones are not done yet. So I'm gonna put these back in the oven. So now that our other 2 racks of ribs are in the oven, they're gonna be done in about 10 minutes. We're gonna smoke these. Much like we did to our sauce here, you can see it's been about 15 minutes now. We can still see a little bit of smoke there, but it's definitely dissipated a fair amount. We'll stir that into the sauce a little bit. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same treatment to our ribs here. We're gonna get an extra wide piece of aluminum foil. We're just gonna tent it up a little bit because we wanna give some room for air gap. And we'll go around the outside, just like Eminem said. Brownie points in the comment section if you know what song I was just referencing. So we wanna get this relatively tight because smoke will just leak out. Ideally, when you do this, you would do this on your stove with the fan above you, but for filming purposes, we're gonna have a little bit of extra smoke out here. We will put that in there. The one thing to note is that I've got my rack of ribs on a rack. I want the smoke to be able to go around a little bit. So we'll turn this guy on. Now it has 2 speeds, so normally you use the high speed to get it going, and then you can use the low speed to fill things up. Well, it depends how much smoke you're getting. And again, if you can't get all the smoke from flowing out there, just put it on your stove with the fan on low. But I've got it pretty much sealed up now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes, and then our other ribs should be done here in 10, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll bring it back when everything's smoked. So our last 2 racks of ribs are all smoked now. What we did with these guys, they took about another 18 minutes to cook, and then I pulled them out of the oven. I turned my oven up to 450 degrees, and then I left these in the tray, but we moved them on top of a rack, and I let them cool for about 10 minutes. The one thing I didn't mention with the single rack, I moved it to a cold cookie sheet, right? So for these guys, I wanted to let them cool down a little bit because I'm not trying to steam in this stage, I'm just smoking. If you wrap them right away, you're gonna get a whole bunch of condensation, and you're gonna end up with an overcooked rib at the same time. So these guys are smoked for 15 minutes as well. You can see there's a little bit of lingering smoke left, and they're looking not too bad for a set of ribs that was done in the oven. We got some good bone pullback on both of them. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna clean up the tips of the ribs because they were sitting in some of that sugary rub. I'll just clean them up a little bit. But you can see both of them, we've got some nice bone pullback, some good color underneath. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we are gonna take these guys off the rack. I've gone ahead and I've changed my foil to a clean piece of foil. The real reason for that is that now we're going in for some high heat. I don't want these sitting in that sugary rub and all that fat in the bottom. So now we've got our last rack. Now what we're doing is we're putting them in the oven at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. This is just gonna crisp out the outside. It's gonna dry off some of this rub that didn't quite dry. We're gonna get a little bit of char, not too much, but we're just gonna finish these guys off, and then we'll put some sauce on them, but I'll see you in 10. It's been 10 minutes now. You can see that the top of our ribs is all nice and dried out. Now all we gotta do is put some sauce on them. So I haven't done anything with this sauce. Make sure you're stirring that smoke. And then we'll just put a nice thick coating on the outside. Make sure you get all the edges here. Very important, oven still at 450. 3 or 4 minutes until the sauce starts simmering, that's it. It will burn quickly. So I did push these guys to 5, And you can see they've got some amazing color. Still gonna set a little bit. They've got to cool down before we can try them. But I'll tell you what, nice bone pullback, beautiful color. I think they're gonna be pretty darn delicious. Let's let them cool down. While we're doing that, let me talk to you about the contest on the channel. So every video we do a contest, super easy to enter. All you gotta do is you gotta be subscribed to the channel, you gotta like this video and comment down below, and we'll use hashtags rainy day, hashtag indoor ribs. Comment down below using those hashtags, and at the end of the month, I will use a random comment generator, and if I pick your comment, you'll win a $25 gift card to appbbq.com. And if you happen to be a Patreon member, it starts at $5. I'll make it $50. Additionally, sorry, my dog is excited about the ribs. Additionally, doing another contest, we just crossed 21,000 subscribers. That means 25,000 is around the corner. And I'm working with my partners to put together a very, very special giveaway. To enter for that giveaway, all you gotta do is you gotta go to my website, rumcook.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom and sign up for my newsletter. Then I'm gonna export all the email addresses and do a random selection for the contest out of all the email addresses. Unfortunately for this one, it is US only. It's a lot of money in duty and excess taxes to ship across the border, so I've told my partner we're gonna keep it in the US only for this one, but don't forget to sign up for that. These guys have got it cool for about another 10 or 12 minutes, and then we'll give them a try. Let's give these guys a try. They're looking phenomenal. I mean, come on. Does that look like it was cooked in an oven? I don't think so. I think that looks pretty darn good if you ask me. You can see that the bones are running this way. What we'll do, flip these guys over just so we can see the entire bone, like so. Oh, some of my bark stuck to my board. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, there's some sauce there. I didn't think about that part of it. Oh well, we still got a fair amount there. Now, obviously there's no smoke ring here, but look, that's a juicy looking rib. Bite right through. And look, tell me that's not a juicy rib. Hang on a second. Wow. Gotta tell you, this doesn't taste like it was cooked outside on a legitimate smoker, but pretty darn good. I think if you let your guests try these and then you told them they were made in the oven, some of them would be surprised. You've definitely got some of that smoke coming through. That smoky sauce is a nice balance there. What I did here is I had some left over, so I just put an S on there. I'll use this again, but that's a great way to add some flavor to it. And there's some smoke into the meat. Now it's not into the meat, it's sitting on top of the meat, but you could actually go probably one more round of smoke and you'd be amazed at how smoky these are. These are really, really good. Knocked them out of the park. If you can't smoke outside because of the weather or whatever, this is the next best thing. Highly recommend you try these. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, do so below. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.